Welcome back to Storytime with Karen and Kevin. I'm your host, Karen Monroe. Today, I'll be reading some stories from various Reddits, so let's get started. This story was posted by God is effing dead LOL. Today I effed up by going on a date and deleting the evidence. This happened in October of 2020. Does it count if it feels like yesterday? I was about to turn 18, out of the closet and lonely as F. Living in a small town where the average age is 65 and the word gay is just an insult doesn't leave you with a lot of options when it comes to dating. Or maybe I just wasn't creative enough, and a pandemic didn't really help. Before the whole world ending thing, I had tried going to parties in the big city, but 2 out of 5 times I ended up overwhelmed, panicked, and confused, and the remaining 3 out of 5 times I didn't even go in the first place. I watch a lot of movies, approximately 1,067, but who keeps track? And Hollywood had done a good job planting unrealistic fantasies in my head. I'd go to a party, longing and questioning my bangability, when an amazing guy, cute, hot, funny, low expectations, would come over, look me in the eyes and say, "Let's get you out of here. I know a place." We'd go to a nice coffee shop and talk, and it just clicks. You wish desperately for a high school cliche rom-com scenario to stumble into your life, but you're destined to end up disappointed because those films are designed like that. I didn't know that back then. A few desperate and shameful Google searches later, I learned about an app called Grindr. I had heard of it before, but always thought it was just a hookup thing. To be fair, I was so touch-starved and depressed at that point, I hadn't left the house in 4 months, literally, that it didn't matter. I was desperate and lonely, and that's when the sharks pick up on your scent. Downloaded, signed up, fascinated, terrified. Within 3 minutes, I had gotten more than 10 pics, unrequested and free of charge. I received numerous generous offers that I sadly had to decline. Some guy told me he was just 2 guys short of a threesome and would love to have me. One gentleman invited me to his apartment to share a drink and then F me tirelessly with my head in the toilet and drive me home afterwards. And they say chivalry is dead. I did not make these offers up. After about 8 minutes of being exposed to this toxic wasteland of a dating scene, I got a message that had me swoon. Not pornographic, not crude, not threatening, no, no, no. Witty, charming, self-aware, and a real conversation starter. The game was on. That he was 18 years old, out of the closet, and experienced. I hadn't asked. From out of town and finishing his apprenticeship. That he wasn't looking for something specific, just down for whatever. That he thought I was funny. He said that he was down for meeting up or something, but only if I was comfortable. That I'd be okay if I was too scared. That he could understand my caution. That he just thought we'd had a connection. That he must have been mistaken. That I could choose a time and place and that he was looking forward to meeting me. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can someone be this stupid? What's this indirect speech crap? Did I really lock the front door? All good questions. Fair questions. Let me defend myself. 1. To you, it is obvious that this was shady because you're reading it on the sub. It wasn't obvious to me. Those bad things, those shady things, happened somewhere else to someone else, but not to me. 2. I was lonely, so stupidly lonely. I hadn't left the house in 4 months. I didn't even go outside to get the effing newspaper. I had developed OCD and couldn't and refused to leave the house. After a while, the loneliness outweighed common sense. He said that he only had time that evening, so I picked a public place, a bus stop near the mall, and went on my way. I was nervous and an hour early, so I called a friend. We joked that, with my luck, this guy would probably turn out to be a creep who'd want to kidnap me in his van. Or a group of guys wanting to bait and take me of my shiny Pokemon cards. But those people only existed on TV. I was sitting on a bench across the street from where we agreed to meet, just in case I ended up needing that distance, just listening to music because my friend had to hang up. I looked up at the timetable and saw that the next bus would get here in about 10 minutes. It was pretty late already, way too late for our spontaneous meeting with a stranger, so there weren't a lot of folks around. In a town that has 5 nursing homes and is in a desperate need of a 6th one, the unofficial curfew is 1700. It was 2150. 7 minutes to go. Fewer and fewer people lurking around. I told myself that it was fine, that there are still some people around and cars are passing all the time. When I'm nervous, I try to keep track of things, like counting people, checking for patterns in passing cars' license plates, but there was nothing to do. This town was dead. 4 people, most of them drunk, 5 cars that passed me, 2 silver minivans, a red car, another 3 black cars, and that was about it. This place is dead. Not much longer. 5 minutes to go. Another silver van, 2 more drunks. Bus should be in sight soon. 3 minutes to go. Silver vans must be popular. 1 minute. I could see the bus. The bus halted at the stop across the street, and 3 people got out. 2 women and a man with a scooter who disappeared into the night right away. The bus left, and there was no one around. That was red flag number 1. There were many before this, but this was the first one I actively took notice of. Maybe he was taking the car, but I was pretty sure that he mentioned he didn't have a license yet. Red flag number 2. I pulled up my phone and texted him. Maybe he was running late. Maybe he missed the bus. I asked him where he was, and he said that he was on his way. He'd be there in a minute. He was from out of town, right? Then that silver van passed me a 5th time. Red flag number 3. The silver van passed me and disappeared into a dark alley across the street. Red flag number 4. I turned off the music and went through the possible escape routes I planned the moment I got there. Does anyone else do that? Whenever I walk into a room, I automatically think of all the ways I could get the F out of there if stuff hits the fan. Anyways, no one around, no drunks, no bus, no date. Semi-ideal. Then, in the dark alley across the street, I saw a little flame lighting up a cigarette. There was something visually beautiful about it. The darkness, the flame, the smoke. It was like a film, or maybe it just felt like it, but then the person took a couple of steps out of the shadows, but not completely. They just stood there. Red flag number 5. Could it just be a regular person on an evening stroll, right? Or maybe it was my date. At that point, I really wish I just got stood up. Still no one around, just a couple of headlights in the distance. I got up, ready to flee if I wanted to. A second shadowy figure joined the person standing, smoking in the dark. The ultimate red flag. Maybe I was just imagining things. I do tend to confuse paranoia with instinct. Maybe these 2 people were just going for a nice walk. And how weird would it have been if they just saw a teen running away from them like a deer that's supposed to jump out in front of a car? Very weird. I didn't want to be rude to those complete strangers in the dark, but I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of them. I didn't want to give them my paranoia like these times before, so I waited a little. Then one of the people marched towards me, out of the dark. It was a 40-something-year-old man, eyes locked on me. The next ultimate red flag. Now, before we get to the final red flag, let me tell you that I have a very keen eye for small details. You know those Sherlock Holmes scenes where Holmes can just tell by a shoe that the person it belongs to is a middle-aged French woman who's married to a butcher named Paul and has given birth to 2 boys, one of which plays the flute? I have a similar thing going on, perhaps more advanced. As the guy started to walk towards me, he made a subtle, yet grave mistake that blew his and his friend's cover. Most people, less intelligent people, probably wouldn't have noticed it, but I did. The guy started to sprint towards me and yelled, "Get him!" This was the final red flag. I, as intelligent as I am, made all the connections and decided to go with escape route number 2. The guy, very determined, dashed onto the street and almost got hit by a car, giving me a head start. His friend, another 40-something, jumps out of the dark and throws at his friend. "You can't just charge at him like that. We have to do this together." I got the F out of there and called my friends so I'd have someone to talk to and seem busy. I passed the police station on my way home, but I kept walking, making sure I wasn't being followed. I got home safe and unharmed. I received some messages from my date, something like, "Hey, it's just a misunderstanding. Come back, let's talk about it." Some BS like that. I wish I sent them a clever comeback or even just a simple "get effed," but I didn't. I was so scared and full of shame. I just wanted to erase everything, all of it, both of them. I wanted to forget about everything, make it disappear. I blocked them and deleted the app. I got rid of everything, all of the evidence, and I didn't go to the police. That's the mistake I think about the most. So down in the comments, there's quite a few people saying that they think that maybe this story isn't true, but I don't know. I mean, I hear some crazy stuff happening all the time, and honestly, this doesn't sound too far out of the realm of definitely happened. Maybe it was a little embellished. Even the author kind of just said, yeah, I really like to ride, and, I tried to make it lighthearted, but it was really terrifying, and yeah, I can see that. I can only imagine. I'm so glad that I'd never had to go on a dating app and risk my life at a bus stop and have to think about evacuation routes. Very lucky. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what we do, please like and subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can also listen to us on wherever podcasts are streamed. See you next time. Bye.